Now, we all have experienced different levels of relationship, whether it be romantic, friendship relationships, you have relationships with your family members. But today I'm going to be talking about specifically romantic relationships, but even before you get to the relationship phase. And so I'm not necessarily talking to married couples or even those in serious relationships. I'm talking specifically to you if you are single. Now, you might be able, if you're in another phase, you might be able to understand something and still get something out of this. But I'm not primarily talking to you. I'm talking to my single folks. Where are my single ladies at? And single men. So I'm going to start right like this. I'm going to start talking to my guys, okay? And I'm just going to be real plain, real regular, okay? Yesterday's Periscope was awesome. Thank you so much, R. Roshi. Thank you. So, guys, I know sometimes, guys, we can have a tendency to think that women are just out here acting crazy. And that's not my philosophy. Me and my wife, we actually talk about this and we teach this to other couples, especially married couples, and then single couples who are looking to get engaged, or get to a relationship. Let me call my son for this one. Yes, get him. So this is for all you guys out there that be like, these chicks is crazy, these women is crazy, this girl crazy. Let me tell you, men, this is really important that you hear this. You need to make an expectation plain to a woman. Now, let me tell you exactly what I mean. What's up, Chloe? Let me tell you exactly what I mean. Back in the day, before I was married, and this month, on the 17th, is me and my wife's 8th year anniversary. And so, props to that. Almost at the 10-year mark. And so I am happily married to a wonderful, wonderful woman. And this is some of the things that I've learned, though, throughout life. And my wife has taught me a lot about women. Thank you, I appreciate that. When I was in high school, I was we weren't really dating, but I'll say I was talking to this girl, and I'll let her name remain anonymous. We'll call her D, okay? I was talking to this girl, D. And me and my friend had hooked me up with her, had kind of connected me with her. You know how friends kind of connect you with other people and like, oh yeah, I think you might like her, she might like you, and blah, blah, blah. So we got connected. She better have. You funny. So we got connected, and me and D, we got connected and we kind of started talking on the phone. Social media didn't exist back then. And so we were talking on the phone, texting, and just kind of building up some level of relationship. Didn't know if I was romantically interested yet, but I think she was interested. So I was like, okay, we'll see where this goes. And so I went to meet her at the mall one day. I went to meet her at the mall. I think she was working at the mall, and I was just not interested. She wasn't a bad person. There was nothing wrong with her. I just was not interested romantically in pursuing something with her. So because of this, I was like, I'm not really feeling it. But I didn't really make my feelings and expectations clear. So what happens is we kind of talk some more, and and so she was like, well, hey, let's go out, let's go hang out. And I was like, I'm not really feeling that. But she wanted to go out and hang out. And so I agreed to going out and hanging out at a big group setting. You know how you grow up with a group of friends, right? And so we went out as a group, and nothing super romantic. We were just out hanging out as a group. And I think she started to develop more feelings than the feelings I was reciprocating, if you know what I mean. She started liking me, but I didn't really like her like that. But the problem was I didn't communicate with her. I didn't communicate an expectation. And so, we talked some more, but I didn't think it was romantic, but I think she started to think it was something different. And so I'm like, I'm telling my friends, my boys, the one that introduced me, I'm like, nah, we're just friends. There's no interest there. But she's thinking something different. So check this out. This is the point I want to get to. This is the point of the story. So I'm driving downtown, right? And she starts calling my phone, and I was hanging out with some other friends. I didn't really want to talk to her at that point, so I just didn't answer. Y'all know about that. Sometimes you just don't pick up. Sometimes you might be busy, or sometimes you just don't want to talk. So I didn't answer. And she kept calling and calling. And I'm like driving around. I'm like, why does she keep calling and calling? She's not getting a hint. And I text her. I said, okay, well, I'll talk to you later. And she just kept calling. And I finally pick up, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just busy right now. I can't talk. Let's talk later. And she was like, well, I see you. I was like, well, what are you talking about? You see me? She's like, I see you. And I see you driving around. I've been following you. I was like, what? You're following me? Why are you following me? And so she must have spotted me downtown somewhere. And so she starts following me. And I try to get off the phone and finally get off the phone, but she doesn't take the hint. So she just keeps following me. So I'm like trying to go in and out, like, intersections and stuff. You know how you try to lose people? You put on the left blinker and turn right. And so I'm like trying to lose her. Like it turned into a weird situation. And so, and I didn't feel endangered, but it made me have the thought, man, this girl crazy. However, my issue, guys, listen to this. The issue is I never expressed my feeling or my expectation to her. So in her mind, we had a different level of relationship than we had in my mind. And I always say, me and my wife, we have this theory that because women are more emotionally heightened, just by nature, I'm not saying women are super emotional people, but they're more emotionally heightened. What happens is, as guys, we can create the environment for an emotionally heightened situation. And because we're not there at that same level, we interpret it as, oh, she crazy. Because we created the environment for that little bit of crazy through heightened emotion to come out. And so I believe that a lot of women have the capacity to seem, to me as a guy, to seem crazy if I create the environment for you to be so emotionally heightened and unstable because I didn't communicate expectations to you. So because I didn't communicate with her that, hey, listen, we're not doing this. I don't really have those feelings towards you. Is it wrong to assume? No, it's not wrong to assume. And I'm not saying she was wrong because she assumed. What I'm saying is, as a man, I should take more responsibility in being able to set my expectation with her and notify her of how I feel about this relationship. The error that I had is I didn't bring any closure to that level of feeling that she had. She had a romantic feeling, and I didn't bring any closure to that by saying, hey, look, I don't feel the same way, or I'm good as friends. We're not going to have a dating relationship. I didn't say any of that. I didn't plant that expectation. I didn't make my expectation known. And so because I didn't make that expectation known, she had a different expectation. I'll give you an example. Come on, guys. I'll give you an example, okay? If you're watching the replay, watch this. My name is David Winston. I'm helping you in your future relationships. I've seen a lot of Christian men. Is this Maria? I've seen a lot of Christian men play the game, dating without saying they're dating. Yeah, and that happens too. That absolutely happens too. Like as a guy, I'll say this is an example. As a guy, I like to watch the Bulls game, Chicago Bulls basketball. So I like to watch the Bulls game. And so I have an expectation when I look on their schedule that, hey, they're playing on Friday night. Okay, I'm going to watch the game because all the games are televised. But what happens is when I go to turn on the TV and I can't find the station that they're playing on, I start to get frustrated because my expectation was that this game is televised. But I'm not able to find it on any of the channels that I'm used to watching it. And so because my expectation is different than what I'm experiencing, and it's not communicated to me where I can find the game at what channel to turn to watch the game, then I become frustrated and I become emotionally heightened. And so women need communication, guys. They need communication and clarity of the expectation. You got to communicate with them what you expect out of this relationship. And hey, you might have a woman who is not going to listen, or maybe they still want to kind of go off on their own thing. They still want to have their own feelings. And we as people, we own our own feelings. Sometimes you're going to have somebody who you say you're not interested that way, and they say, well, I don't care. You mind. God showed you me in a dream, and we're going to do this, and we're going to get married, and this, and our first girl is going to be named, Sheila, and sometimes people can go off on all different areas. And so, as a guy, you're not necessarily responsible for owning all of their thoughts, opinions, or feelings, but you can do what you can do to set the expectation. So come on, guys, stick with me. Men, we need to make the expectation plain and communicate it clearly, okay? So my name is David Winston. I'm helping you in your future romance and relationship. If you haven't shared this already, come on, do it. You can share it. So share this with somebody else. It'll encourage them. If this is helping you, if this is blessing you, if you're getting something out of this, tap the screen, because that lets me know that, hey, this is it. This is on point. This is what I'm getting. So don't sit there on the sideline just watching and absorbing. Tell me that this is good. Hit me with some comments, y'all. Hit me with some comments. Hit me with some hearts. Let me know that, hey, this is it. And so men need to make the expectation plain, right? We need to communicate clearly, okay? All right, so do I have any questions about that? What do you guys think about that? And then I'm going to move to women. I'm going to move to women in just a second, okay? But I want to hit the guys first because, guys, we can sit there and say like, oh, man, she crazy. I had this one friend back in Tulsa. He always used to say that, okay, all right, good. You graduating on point. He always used to say that, like he always used to be in these situations, and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, what's up with Mary, or what's up with Shayna? Oh man, she crazy. Nah, man, let me tell you what happened." He always have this elaborate story about how she crazy, and I'm like, you know what? You have a problem creating these emotionally toxic situations, and then they respond emotionally, and you think they're crazy. Every chick ain't crazy. Every girl is not crazy. Every female and young lady is not crazy. You are creating an emotional, unstable situation. Girls, if you know a guy who the last 3 women he's been with, they've had crazy experiences, then there might be something wrong with him. Would a guy mind if a girl asked, would a guy mind if a girl asked out? No, I don't think so. I mean, some guys are different, but I'll say from a guy's perspective, through my personality type, I wouldn't mind if a girl was forward. I mean, my wife is a little bit more forward and strong in that way. And so I wouldn't mind if she said, hey, you want to grab some coffee or this or that. I personally like it because it gives me direction. And so, that's me personally. Like, I'm okay with that. But, you got to be careful with that. You want to give men an opportunity to be a man, to step up and to ask you out, to pursue you. You want to be pursued as a woman. And so, I believe it's okay as you're getting to know each other, but you want them to ultimately pursue you too. And so it depends on personality type though. Some guys, through personality type, that's just how they are. They're more aggressive. Me as a guy, I'm actually more introverted. I'm actually more laid back and I'm not as aggressive. And so in my romantic pursuit, even before I was married, I wasn't real forward. I had a couple friends that were much more aggressive than me, and they seemed to have better romantic experiences as far as maybe quantity, but maybe not quality, because they were so forward about making their feelings known and their intentions known. But me, I was much more relational, much more laid back. And so I would get to know people in a much more friendly, platonic setting, and then just kind of let stuff naturally take over from there. But, when I met my wife, for some reason, I was more aggressive than I ever had been. But I guess the Lord and the Spirit just kind of came over me like, ooh, this woman is so fine. I can't let her go. This is my destiny. This is my future. Girl, you my future. Women should stop assuming that it is more than it is. I know, sometimes we have the ability to dream up scenarios that aren't reality. And so sometimes we have to cool out, hang back and say, let's take this for what it is. Sorry, I meant if a girl asks the guy if he does like her, if he is not saying anything. I'm always a fan of communication. I feel like more communication is good until it gets to a place of just not being productive and just hurting folks. So I like communication. I like being able to be open and talk about feelings. If they want you and you're in his path, he'll go for it. That's right. And so I believe in talking about those feelings. But let me tell you, if a guy doesn't act interested, he's not interested. Period, point blank. I mean, he won't forget to call you all the time if he's interested. If he's interested, he's interested. I mean, there is no in between with us guys. I mean, if we're interested, we're interested. We're either thinking about calling you and texting you. We're either thinking about hitting you up. We're either thinking about putting comments on your post. If he's interested, he's familiar with your Instagram page. He's familiar. But if he's not interested, he's not interested. There's no cat and mouse game here. There's no in between. I mean, he's either interested or not interested, or he's trying to figure out if he's interested. But he won't fake you out. Like to me, a lot of the guys that I know, and I'll just speak as a guy, I wouldn't be there to fake you out, like try to hang back and make you seem like I'm not interested because I want to be cool and I want you to be interested in me. Let me tell you, if a guy's interested, he's interested. Unless he's a user or a player, and you don't want that anyway. Let me tell you, if a guy is there trying to make you feel confused about how he feels, you might want to hang back because people who try to use people and people try to be players and stuff, that's how they try to do. They try to confuse you. That's the game. Let me tell you another game, ladies, before I get to before I talk specifically to women. Here's the game, is that guys sometimes will try to make you feel a romantic type of way with them without being in a relationship with them so they can get the benefits of the emotional gratitude and satisfaction of how a relationship feels. I'll give you an example. If you got this girl, Kelly, over here, and you got this guy, Mike, and so Mike doesn't really want to have a relationship with Kelly, but let's say Mike likes Kelly romantically, but doesn't want to have a relationship because he wants to keep his options open. Maybe there's something else he's working on. But basically, Mike can have doing things to have Kelly like him and to make Kelly want to be with him without the title, without the girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever we're together title. And so what he's doing is he's getting an emotional advantage because he's getting his emotions fulfilled. He's getting his attention needs fulfilled. Hey, let me tell you, guys need attention just as much or maybe even more than girls. And so what they'll do is they'll get a girl to like them, but it's because they want attention, not because they want a relationship or a future. And so because they're getting their emotional and attentional needs met, they will hold off on the relationship to keep the other components that they need. And sometimes it's even physical too. Hey, that happens. Sometimes guys use girls for physical needs too. But they'll get those needs met without the title. And this is what happens. When another girl comes along and they start pursuing that, and then Kelly's over here saying, well, what happened to us? The tagline, the out statement is, well, we weren't in an official relationship, so I didn't know. Let me tell you, guys knew. We might not always be like the quickest guys on the block and maybe the smartest, apples in the bunch, but guys aren't stupid. They know what they're doing. Don't ever fall for that, girls. Don't fall for that, ladies. They know what they are doing. I know. Trust me. So, it is low, and it happens. I'm sorry. It happens. It's not cool. And some guys aren't actually maliciously out there trying to do it, but guys, they like to be wanted. Guys like to be needed. Guys like to say, oh, yeah, she keep calling me, she texting me. And it doesn't have to be like such a player, I'm trying to use her type thing. We all have an emotional need to want to be desired, to want to be wanted, to want attention from the opposite sex. We have that built in. And so, it's not a negative thing until we make it a negative thing. When we're pursuing relationships and romances in the right way, it's not a negative thing. But if we're pursuing it out of order, then it becomes a negative thing. So, hey, my name is David Winston. Once again, follow if you're not following already. Yeah, that does happen. There makes girls go cray cray. Yeah. Those situations make girls go cray cray. And let me tell you, it happens. So, we're going to finish up. Women, I'm here to give you one piece of advice. Ladies, all my ladies out there. All my single ladies. Set boundaries. Clearly, please set boundaries. That is the key word. Set boundaries. So these men won't be thirsty and continue to try to pursue something that is not happening. How many of y'all ladies out there have had men try to pursue you and you didn't want it? You were like, no, I'm done. Please leave me alone. This is not what that is. We are not going to be together. Not now, not ever. What's that song? Who sings that song? We're never, ever, ever getting back together. You know that song. Okay, anyways. So, unless women set boundaries, we as men will pursue until we get the desired response. You know why? Because men sometimes can be hard-headed. Sometimes we can be stubborn. And sometimes it's a good thing because it'll make us want to continue to pursue. Taylor Swift. There you go, Maria. And so we want to continue to pursue. But If you let us know clearly that this is not happening, and not only that, but you set boundaries for how we will treat you, how we will talk to you, and what we can do for you, to you, then it trains us to behave in a certain way towards you. I know, guys, we might not like this sometimes, but we can be trained to treat women one way or another. When you see a guy treating a woman badly, they were trained. They saw it. It's just a reproduction of what they were trained to do and what they saw happening. And sometimes it's unfortunate. Good morning from California. And if you see a man who's a good man who treats a woman right, they were trained. That wasn't like they just happen to just be a good man. They were trained that way. I say, unless he is gross, have coffee once. It may surprise you. Yeah, it may surprise you. You never know. But you got to set boundaries. It's learned behavior. You got to set boundaries. And so let me tell you, like, if you get a dog from the dog pound, and I'm not trying to diss us guys as dogs, but I'm just making an example. If you get a dog from the dog pound, and let's say you get a cat. We have a cat, Frankie, and we got it from the dog pound. We got it from the clinic. And so we say we got this cat. Now we need to train this cat on how to behave. And I've had to train this cat. You ain't going to get up here on this table. You're not going to eat our food. You have your own food. And we have effectively trained him. He knows exactly what to do. He actually, when I go to the pantry, his treats are up there. And when he wants a treat, he'll actually come, stand up on the stool, and he'll put his paw out. He'll literally put his paw out like this. And then he'll wait for me to shake his paw to acknowledge that I see him, he wants a treat, and I'm going to give him a treat. That happens almost every day. And he'll see me, he'll put his paw out and say, meow, meow. And I'll shake his paw to acknowledge, and I'll give him a treat. I've trained him on how to behave. So he knows it's not acceptable to get up on the table and eat my food, but to ask for his own food. And so we as guys, sometimes we need to be trained on how to behave if we have bad behavior. Now, there's a lot of good guys out there who know how to treat women right. But let me tell you, there's some guys out there who also don't know how to treat women right. Women, don't be so hard on them like they were supposed to know, because some men just don't know. Some men just haven't been trained to be good, decent men. Some men they just don't know how to treat a woman. How can you train somebody that don't want to be trained? Leave them alone. If they don't want to be trained, leave them alone. If they don't want to know how to behave, leave them alone. Leave them alone. I'm not here to say fight with people. But if a man wants to pursue you and is going about it the wrong way, don't come down on them with the iron fist like, who you think you are? You think you're just going to do this and do that to me? You can't talk to me like this. Let me tell you, it might make you frustrated. It might make you angry, but they just may not know. There's so many guys who I talk to who just don't know that it's not acceptable to talk like this. It's not acceptable to look like this. It's not acceptable to make these noises when a woman walks past that you think looks good. It's not acceptable, guys. That's not how you treat women, and that's not how you earn respect in your community and among women. And so they just have to be taught. So I've helped teach guys before how to treat a woman and how to get their attention, how to engage with them, and if you like them, how to let them know the right way. Now, I'm telling you, you don't have to settle for mess. If they don't want to be if they don't want to hear it, they don't care about it, then kick them to the curb. But you got to set boundaries. That's my main goal. I got off on this tangent. So let's come back to the main thing. Set boundaries. So some guys that are just not that respectful, you have to train them on how they're going to treat you. Don't let that stop you from setting boundaries. And so you guys say, no, you're not going to talk to me like this. No, you're not going to text me with this kind of comment. Can we get a list of graduates from your training? I don't necessarily have a list, but there's good guys out there. And you have to set those boundaries, though. Some guys are going to want to try to talk to you this way or look at you that way or motion to you this way or they might try to take you somewhere and behave a certain way, and you got to let them know that that's not okay. Maybe they want to take you out and you go out and then they're looking at all these other women and trying to check it out, or maybe they're getting a little too friendly with the waitress. You got to let them know, shut that stuff down. That stuff only amplifies with time. You shut that stuff down immediately, like, hey, this is what I noticed. And I'm not here to try to be your mama or your teacher, but this is what I noticed, and this isn't going to be okay for me. This is not going to be allowed for me. This is not what I stand for, and so that's not my standard. So if that's what you're about, You can be about that with somebody else, and hey, God bless you, I wish you well. But if we're going to be together, this is how it's going to be. This is how you're going to treat me. This is what we can do and what we're not going to do. Yeah, no test driving. We ain't out here test driving. You don't have to trial and error this thing. You can let them know straight out. Guys like direct communication. Even if we frown while you doing it, like, I ain't trying to hear you, but let me tell you, we're hearing it and we're deciding whether we're going to take it or not. But if he's doing that up front, why would you be with that at all? Absolutely. I don't know if you'd want to be with that at all if they're doing all that. But you got to make your boundaries known. And so I believe like a good teacher can take kids who even have behavioral challenges and get them to respect that teacher's boundaries. And I believe the same thing with men, that you can take a man who maybe has great potential. Maybe you're supposed to be together, but maybe they're just not a finished product. Just like you ladies, just like you're not a finished product. Sometimes us guys, we're not finished products either. And so just remember that we're all continuing to grow, continuing to build. And so cut a guy some slack. There might be some warning signs that you want to say, you know what, no way, I'm out, show me the door. But you might have a guy who has some great potential, but maybe there just might be some behavioral things that they just need to work out. And so you want to help work that out. Am I good? Can you guys see me? I see somebody saying frozen. Let it go, let it go. Okay, you can see me? Give me a thumbs up if you can see me. And I'm done. Okay, good. Okay, remember, communicate your boundaries. Communicate. They don't know your boundaries, guys. We can't read minds. We can't do it. And so just communicate your boundaries. Let us know. What up, Pastor David? Thanks for this powerful word. Awesome. I'm glad that you enjoyed. They have to be willing to want to work, otherwise run. That's right. They gotta be willing to work. Hey, I hear you. All right. Thank you. So you have to train men on how to treat you. I'm not saying that makes us lesser, but that lets us know, that sets a standard right up front. This is what is okay. This is what's not okay. And so, some women, I know they complain. And let me tell you, we can't control people. So things happen by bad people that we can't control. But let me tell you, the way that you make yourself not a victim of bad romances, bad relationships, bad situations, is you make sure to set boundaries early and often. Set those boundaries. If there's something that crosses your boundary, and it's happened even a couple times now, set that boundary. Set it and make it very clear and communicate that boundary. Women, the way you get not taken advantage of by a guy, and I'm not saying you can control every instance, but it will lessen the instances if you set the boundary. You are not going to talk to me like this. You're not going to do this. This is how I'd like to operate. And it's not like you're trying to read down your life plan to them, but you're just trying to let them know that, hey, I respect you enough to let you know how I operate, just so we can have the best interaction here. And I think most guys who are decent, they'll respect that. They'll say, okay, I appreciate it. Okay, I can get with that. And they can make their decision, okay? Well, hey, she too high maintenance, or she got too many standards, or, she won't let me do this to her. Or they could say, okay, yeah, I like that. I believe in that. I'll make sure we work on that. Okay, I want to, follow through with this. I want to, pursue something. So I'm glad this is helpful to you. What if the boundary is pushed? When do you walk? That's up to you. But I would say if your boundary is tested a few times, you should pull back from the relationship, or pull back from where that is going. I'm not saying you completely cut off all communication, but I feel like if your boundaries tested a couple times, you say, hey, I don't like when you talk to me like this. So can we do this? And everybody agrees, okay, yeah, this is how we should operate. And then, they still test your boundaries a couple more times. I say, one time is to me is a good enough grace period. Okay, hey, we talked about this. But the second time, you know what? You're having some challenges. If you pull back from a guy, it doesn't mean that you don't like the guy. It doesn't mean that you hate the guy. It means that maybe they need a little bit more room and a little bit more opportunity to grow outside of you having to take on the brunt of that growth. You know what I'm saying? And so we want to give people an opportunity and a room to grow, but we don't want to be abused in the same measure, right? So what happens when they say, you forgave me then, et cetera, et cetera? I think that's where it goes wrong. And so, okay, so if guy says, well, I thought you forgave me, thought everything was cool. Let me tell you, you can pull back from a guy without completely disengaging. I really believe that you can lessen your time spent with them. You can lessen the time that you talk to them, the time that you communicate with them. You can pull back a little bit without completely disconnecting. And I think full disclosure, if you let them know that, hey, I can forgive you, but this is an issue for me. Because if you're talking about heading towards a romantic relationship that's exclusive, and then that is headed towards somewhere, towards engagement, towards marriage, something that has a future, which I always think you should do, because you should never be casually out here dating and then breaking up, because all that is practice for divorce. I think you should always have a vision. And if you're ever going to get in a relationship with somebody, it should have a very strong future with it. Don't just casually be out here just loaning yourself out. You just loaning your heart out to folks on lease. Don't be on that. And so I believe that you can forgive people, but still pull back from them. And so hopefully that helps. Hopefully that made sense. So communication is the key element. You don't want, girls, I know y'all don't want guys out here saying y'all girls crazy. Well, it doesn't have to be your story. Men, we need to make that expectation plain and communicate it early, clearly, and often. And women, we don't want you to be taken advantage of. We don't want guys to be out here acting thirsty, continuing to pursue. I'm going to call you, I'm going to text you, I'm going to do this, do that. Let me tell you, it's hard for a guy to continue to pursue a girl who shuts them down. I mean, all the way down. Like, excuse me, I am not interested in you in the least. So please stop calling me. Please stop texting me. Your posts are not welcome. Your comments are not welcome. As a matter of fact, I will be blocking you from this and that. So I want to let you know clearly, I'm not interested even in the least. So you don't have to waste your time. God bless you. I wish you well. That's it. And shut them down. And let me tell you, I've seen situations where women seem to get taken advantage of, or young ladies seem to feel like they're getting harassed by men. And I've seen situations where women who are also like women who are very attractive and men like to pursue them, but they don't seem to incur those same kind of instances where they're always having to take the brunt of some kind of negative feeling from guys, or some kind of pursuit that leads to guys just kind of acting thirsty and crazy. I really believe that there's a common thread, and hopefully that was clear. I don't know if that was confusing, but I really believe that there's a common thread of boundaries. And when girls and when ladies and young women, when you're strong about those boundaries and strong about your intentions, that there is zero romantic interest, 90% of guys are just going to back off. Sometimes sheerly from the embarrassment of it, because guys have egos, and so when you hit that ego real strong, they're like, I don't know, she might embarrass me in front of the homies. Let me back up. So guys, we don't want that. We want to be wanted and appreciated. And some guys, they're a lot more forthright, and they like to pursue a lot harder than other guys. But let me tell you, guys don't like to be rejected. We might be a little hard-headed sometimes, but we don't like to be rejected, especially publicly. And so when you make it plain that I'm not interested, that'll usually shut a lot of guys down. Here's what the problem is. When women are a little bit more cautious or casual, or do not communicate those boundaries, or are not as strong about those boundaries, and don't shut that thing down, it continues to create a situation where guys think they have a chance. And what happens is a toxic situation gets created when guys think they have a chance, and a woman says, but I thought I expressed that I wasn't interested, but a guy didn't hear that. They didn't know, they didn't catch the hints. We're just hard-headed, and so we thought that there's still a chance, and in the girl's mind, there's no chance, and so the guy is trying to do everything necessary to be able to capitalize on that chance and hit it to the next level, and a woman saying, I don't want this, I don't need this, why does he keep calling me, texting me? Boundaries. Gotta set the boundaries. And so I believe that when you set the boundaries, when we set those boundaries, we train people on how to behave towards us, and we don't create the toxic situations that sometimes turn into, now I feel uncomfortable around him. Why is he always looking at me like this? I don't want him. I don't want his attention. He tried to hug me. I don't want this. Boundaries. Just be clear about boundaries. Sometimes we're a little casual about boundaries. We don't want to hurt people's feelings. I don't know. Well, I thought I kind of told him. No, be outright. If you don't want a guy touching you, you don't want a guy hugging you, you don't want a guy all up in your space, all up in your grill, all up in your Instagram, and all up in your text messages, let him know clearly, I don't want it. Don't touch me. Back up. We're cool. God bless you. But I don't want that interaction with you. And let me tell you, guys, most guys will back off. All right, okay, you tripping, you whatever. All right, we'll see. I'm just playing. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for logging on. Thank you so much for all the hearts, for tap.